guys, so welcome to the quick video guide for using the Maven budget template. This is a quick video guide in order to help you use your templates once you receive all the files that you have purchased. So first of all, you'll receive two files. You'll receive the access file, and then you'll receive your template setup guide. So if you want to go ahead and open your setup guide, this is going to be a quick set of instructions that allow you to get you up and running and using our Google Sheets app budget that we've built for you. So in here in our table of content, you'll see that we have our access template, how to copy the Google Sheet over onto your account, how to edit your categories for your budget. You'll be able to edit all the existing categories so that they match more to what you want them to be, to your specific situation. Our next area would be to set up your monthly income. This is where you would be setting up how much income you bring in, whether it's a fixed income, like if you're getting a paycheck, or whether it's varied, if it's a side hustle that you have and you get extra income from there, maybe from business, maybe from rentals. You would be setting up this monthly income here. Then you also have another tab for setting up your monthly expenses. In this tab, you will be calculating every month, every day of the month, how much you spend on some fixed bills that you pay every month that you know you have to pay every month. For example, your mortgage, your car loans, your utility bills. All of those fixed expenses you could put there, along with some variable expenses that you can estimate as you go along. Each year you can estimate how much you will be, or you're expecting to spend in that month. Then you have the transaction log, and this is where you're mostly going to be spending your daily interactions with the spreadsheet. This is where you would be logging in how much, what's going on at a monthly level. You would, all the other tabs are more of a, they're said and done. Those are tabs that you don't need to come back and redo. But the logging of transactions is where you're going to be working daily. Then we have the automating the new entries, which is an automation that we've built. This is still not ready for the first version of our budget. We're still looking. This uses Google scripts. So we're still looking to get our development certified in order for the scripts to be safe to run and to be attached to external accounts. And then you have all your support where you have the details of how you can contact us in case you have any questions. So let's get started with the access template. So in the access template, this is where you will be using your other file, and this is your template access. This allows you to go into the account and access your Google Sheets. So let's click on that. And here we go. So this is the Google Sheet. So if you notice here, the first thing that you're going to see is that this is a view only, so you won't be able to edit here. So the first thing that you need to do is make a copy of the spreadsheet and put it into your account. And for that, you're gonna obviously need a Google account, which is free for you to sign up and create. In this case, we are logged in, and we're logged into my account. So first step that we're going to do is we're going to copy this spreadsheet over into our account. Just click on the File menu, make a copy, and that would allow you to make a copy of my spreadsheet or our spreadsheet into your account. And so here you could call it budget planning. You could call it whatever you want to call it, and that's how you're going to be, that's the file that you're going to be working on. So let's say we are in 2022 budget planning, and you can even, remove anything that you don't want. Maybe, give it your personal name, and let's say that's so let's go ahead and make a copy. So once we make a copy, that's copying that file over into our Google account. And now you see that we have everything available to us. There's no view only that we had here with this one. So we can just close this one out, and we can start working on our template, on our version of the template. So here, first tab is just a quick instructions on how to do this. Copy over the file to your account, and then going through the different tabs in order to set up your budget so that you can start recording your transactions. Now, these are steps that you will be only doing once, and then once it's all set up, all you will be doing is logging in your transactions on a daily basis. So what I would suggest is that you do make it like a template of this spreadsheet, because this is a yearly spreadsheet. You'll have, for example, you'll start on the current year, 2022. You will need to make a copy of it for 2023. And so the best way would be to, after you're all done setting up your categories and your income, and if mostly, that ports over into your 2023 without that many changes, then you can go ahead and, when you're at that stage, go ahead and rename this into a template that you would use, and then every year you would just copy from that template, and then add anything that you would need to add for that particular year. So the first thing would be to copy over the template, which we did. Our step number 2 would be to go over to the list tabs, and this is where we would be editing our categories. And so let's go there. And here we go. So here is all your expense categories. This is like a sample of what you can do, but you could definitely come in here and change what we're tracking. So for example, I have here Medicare. So this would be, or in our point of view, what I was thinking of was that this would be the taxes that are taken off of your paycheck. And so you could either track your paycheck with the revenue that's coming in, or you can track the paycheck, every paycheck, with discounting all of the deductions that a W-2 would definitely have. And the advantages of that is that you, at the end of the year, you would exactly know how much you paid in retirement, in Medicare, and Social Security, all of those things that are taken out of your paycheck. Then you would know. If you don't want to go into that level of details, then go ahead and make changes here. Change your categories. You can leave them and not use them, or you can just change them. And so here we have homeowners association, utilities, a HELOC. Maybe you have a HELOC loan, a car loan, mortgage, escrow, and these are the things that are either taken out of your paycheck or taken out of your mortgage in order to pay for your insurance at the end of the year, your insurance and taxes, or it might be an account that you have set up and you pay your own escrows. You pay your own insurance, you pay your own taxes, and therefore you have that escrow account. So here, let's say that you don't want to track the Social Security. Let's say instead of that, you want to track groceries. And so you would go ahead and say, I want to track groceries here. And let's replace that. Let's say you don't want to track medical insurance. That's just a little bit too much. So let's replace groceries with restaurants and just going out. Retirement, you can change this with entertainment. And so on. And so you have all the way up to 39 lines that you could use for your categories. If you do need to add more, the quickest way for you to add more would be to go to the end of the line when it's blank and highlight it. And then if you see your little dot here, allows you to go ahead and copy those cells to the bottom, and your other sheets would be reading this just fine. And so you could either keep this at a high level, or you could keep it, very detailed. And so if you do keep it detailed, your graphs are going to have a little bit too much information. So if you want to summarize, or if you only want to track, specific things, then you can still have the categories here for you to be able to enter the transactions and categorize them into these buckets, but you're not interested in tracking them. And so you can either add and remove, and I'll show you how that affects your dashboards and how that is shown on your graphs once you do that, once you remove and you add the tracking capabilities here. Now, another option that you have for your expenses is to track them as debt. And so in your dashboard, you would have a separate section for expenses that are really debt, and that you want to track in order to know, how much you've paid into that debt. By the end of the year, how much you've lowered your loan or whatnot. And so if you want to track that as debt, you would check mark here that this is a debt, and so you want to track it in the debt category. In here, I have credit cards, car loans. A HELOC might be a debt also that we can put in here. And even your mortgage, because your mortgage loan is a debt that you want to work towards, reducing. On this other column, you would have your income categories. So in this case, you would track, what are your sources of income? So if it's just your primary paycheck, you're single, for example, you would come here and just say, okay, I just want to have that primary paycheck as my only option, and you can clear out the rest of the cells. The easiest way to clear out cells would be to come here and maybe highlight them, go to the edit, click on delete, and then delete values. And then if you do that, you would clear that out pretty quickly. A nice trick here is don't be afraid to make changes to your spreadsheet. If you do, you could always do a Control-Z and then bring back the changes that you've done. So don't worry about making mistakes. Feel free to edit the spreadsheet so that it adjusts to exactly how you function and how your finances are. So just remember Command-Z for a Mac or Control-Z for Windows. And in this example, as I run you through the different, so that we could see the different features of the spreadsheet, we have a primary paycheck, maybe a secondary paycheck from your spouse, maybe you have some rental properties, so you're getting some income there. A business or a side hustle that you have might also be something that's bringing income into your household. So then our next step, once that's ready, is to go ahead and input your expected income in the income tracker tab. So let's go to the income tracker tab. Here, this is more of a an expected or your expected amount each month for income, right? So some of this might be fixed income, and some of this might vary. And so you have this column here so that you can say, okay, this is fixed. I always get a paycheck. The paycheck is always of the same size. I get it on the 15th and on the 30th. And so that's my fixed income, and I can select that as being fixed. Now, my spouse's paycheck is different. So she has a, you know, a temporary job or a part-time job that pays depending on how much she works, and so it varies from month to month. But on average, I'm going to estimate that she's going to be making $1,700. And I won't worry too much about the date that she gets paid, because maybe she gets paid based on when she works and so forth. Maybe she's a contractor, and so she gets paid as she's contracting out her work. Then we have rental property, and the rent is our tenants pay us $1,750 a month, and they pay us every at the beginning of the month. So we'll put here on the 1st, and this doesn't have to be exactly the day that you get paid, but it's more of a guide for you to be able to fill out your transactions of what you expect to see in the month, right? So don't worry too much if maybe you don't get paid on the 1st, you get paid on the 3rd, or some months it's on the 3rd and some months it's on the 1st. Don't worry too much about it. It's just a guide and the knowledge that at the beginning of the month you're going to get paid this income. Then you have a side hustle. You have Uber delivery, and that's based on how much you really are putting into it that month. And same thing with a business, that maybe have a small business that makes an average of $1,000 a month, and so you can estimate what those are. And then here you would leave those blanks because these are variable amounts. So that's good with the income. You can also, when you come here, you can also do the same thing that I did before. You can, remove the values. That's the best way to do it. Then you come here and you can choose what your income categories are for you could choose what your income categories are for that specific income that you want to see. Control C. Okay, so here you would, let's see, income. So if you wanted to delete this, the quickest way and the easiest way in order not to disturb anything, and you can even include the check boxes, you can say edit, delete values, and that would, nope, Control Z. You don't want to delete the check boxes, just leave those check boxes as they are. So you want to copy the rest of the data and say edit, delete values, and then you can go ahead and put in your specific ones. So maybe you take up 4 rows because you get paid 4 times in a month, and you can put here the days that you get paid. Let's bring back our data. Now, if you wanted to add rows to this, you can definitely right-click on the, you can right-click here on the little numbers to the side and just say insert row below, insert row above, and then that would easily allow you to add a new one. So let's say you have another property number 2, and say rental income, and this one gets paid on the 15th, and it's only $566, and it's fixed. And so that way you can add any more income that you expect on a monthly basis. Let's go ahead and delete that. Here you're just, calculating how much of it you're expecting, fixed, and how much you're expecting overall, together with everything that's averaged out, and how much of this portion is, fixed, and you know that you're gonna receive that amount. That's step number 3. So for step number 4, we start adding our bills and our expenses. So how much are we going to be spending, and what categories those are? And so for that, we go to the monthly bills tab. In the monthly bills tab, you have this top portion is calculating just the amount of expenses, and you have a total of whatever that might be, and then a total of what we call fixed, and those are fixed amounts that you have to pay, and the rest is more of variables, where you can include your restaurants, your groceries, everything that kind of fluctuates. Here you have the ability to, plan for emergency fund that you might want to have, so that you have an idea of how much you want to have in savings in order to really have your expenses covered for a certain amount of months. And so that could be either 3, 4, or 6 months, not 45, 6 months. So let's say you want to plan to have 6 months worth of reserves in your bank account, then that would mean that you would have to have 34 in order to cover your fixed expenses, those things that exactly you need to pay. And if you factor in those variable expenses, then that would be that amount. And with the difference between the two, this is the amount that you can kind of play with, that you can kind of cut back on, and the fixed ones are more of things that you need to pay, and there's really no such, you can't really lower them unless you get rid of, for example, a car or something like that. So let's put 3 months of expenses. That means I would have to have saved $25,000 to feel comfortable that I have 3 months worth of expenses covered. So then we go to the bills portion. So here's where you would start inputting all of the bills that you have for the month. And so you have a due date on the month of when that bill is due. I would start from, the beginning of the month all the way to the end, and then maybe have the ones that are variable, where you're not going to have a specific date that they're due, but that you want to reserve something for it. And so in this case, I have everything under credit cards, and that's your main expense. And you can have, whatever you want to put as far as expenses that are variable, and how you want to track those. In this case, let's say we want to track $200 for gifts on each month, then we would put $200, and we want to try to avoid going over. So in this category, list boxes, it's going to be reading from your list tab. So since we just changed our categories, then this car insurance that I had here, we'll have to go to a different category, and it would be whatever list is there available. So it was actually on the wrong category. So, okay. So then here you would put the amount also, obviously, that that particular bill is going to be worth. So another area that we have here that's that I find to be useful as I'm working towards the month and kind of planning out my month is our monthly tracker. And in our monthly tracker, what we're trying to do is track whether you've paid this amount or not, and whether, you know, that you don't have to worry about that. And so you in this section you would have to you would have check boxes in order for you to kind of mark them off as you go along. You will notice is that, you know, right now when I'm filming this video, it's July, and so this is going to be in a different color so that it's easy for you to see. You can also scroll to the right so that you can bring it closer, and you don't have to worry about the previous months. It's not data that you really need to worry about. And so if you scroll it down, you're closer to what the item is as you're going through the months and things start getting paid off. I like to come in here and say, okay, my mortgage was already paid. My utilities have been paid here. So has my mobile, my cable, and so forth. And so that way you keep track of what you've paid and what you haven't paid. And so you're not running late on you're not forgetting any payments. Basically what we're trying to do here. Let me just do this if you wanted to add it for the rest of the categories that you have here. And so that's kind of useful for doing that. So that is our step 4. We have all of our monthly bills put in place, and now step 5 is to start entering your monthly transactions. And so for step 5, we go into the money log tab. And so this money log tab has all of your transactions as you're, you know, entering them or as they post to your bank account. And what I like to do is I like to track as I schedule them. So even though that they haven't hit my bank account, I have sent them out, but it takes some time for it to post. And so I like to plan ahead and plan my entire month with all of, you know, the areas that I need. So in this tab, you have the ability to filter your transactions and make this a little bit smaller, so you could only you're seeing only what you want to see. So in this case, I had it for some reason filtered by all of my mortgages. Let's go ahead and take all those filters out. Let's say I want to remove all the filters, and all you have to do is click on this little box and select all, and so all of the data that is available shows here. And so here you'll see that as you go along during your month, you will have all of your months of all your transactions for the month allocated and into your spreadsheet. And so that's great because then you're able to pull a lot of information as far as, how the year went and how, where did you spend the money and so forth. So as I'm working on each of my months, what I like to do is I like to remove all of this stuff that has already been posted. It's not something that I'm interested in anymore after I've tracked it. So what I want to do is create a filter here where it says that it hasn't posted, that it's full. And so that's going to give me all of my transactions that are about to post, and they happen, or I know they're going to post at this particular time of the month. And so here I come in and I start putting in all the data at the beginning of the month, and sometimes I like to do it every 15 days. Sometimes, I like to do it on a monthly basis where I see for the whole month what's going to be allocated. And the way that I do that, and the easiest way, would be to come to the date column, and let's say that I want to add all the way to the end of the month. Again, you click on the cell and drag it. And so what's good about this is that's going to give you the transactions all the way until the date that you would want to see them. And so once you have this here, you're using your monthly bill. Let's say on the 20th, you're using your monthly bill to say, okay, what do I have to pay on the 20th? Okay, I've already paid my utilities. I'm going to go ahead and start from here to here, and I know that I have to pay my monthly escrow, and I have to pay my landscaper on the 21 and on the 28th. So what I'll do is I go here, I'll go on the 28th, I need to pay my escrow, and then this is my escrow, and I've estimated my escrow to be $2,300. Come here, and on my out, because it's coming out of my bank account, would be $2,300. Then I go on the 21st, and I will pay my landscaper. And notice that I had done some of that before. This is a home expense, and I'm paying $80 for landscaping, and that's coming out. I've done that before, and perhaps, the landscaper is due on the 21st, but I really want to, not be late and pay it a little bit earlier. Don't worry about the dates. The matter is that you can see exactly when it's gonna, what time it's gonna hit so far, your bank account, and whether maybe you have the funds to cover that. And so this is what this column is going to show you on the balance, how much money you have, and in order to cover that expense. And so your running balance based on this starting balance here is $3,491. So you're good to pay those $80. When it's a bigger amount, for example, the escrow amount that needs to come out, it's good to know that you're going to have enough funds to cover it, and that's what this is for. So another thing here, so once I'm here, I can go ahead and remove this one because it's a duplicate transaction that I just added. In the same way, delete the values, and all of my running totals kind of update as I'm adding and removing transactions here. So what I like to do is schedule out all of my transactions as they would be. I can even check whether they've been scheduled. So I've sent it and it just hasn't posted. For example, I can say this is my mobile bill, and I pay $107 for my cell phone, and which is due on the 7th, and I actually, mailed it out. And so that is still not posted. Still not going to be deducted from my account. It's it's it still hasn't been deducted from my account, but I've already sent it out. And so I don't have to worry about it. I can say, okay, I look at my budget and I look at what day is it today? Did I send this and did I send that? It's clearly highlighted that I did send it. It just hasn't posted to my account. And so as I'm working in this spreadsheet, I am also looking at my bank account. And so the first things that I would do is go into my bank account, look at my balance, and update my balance. So let's say this was 7,380. However, this mortgage payment that I had scheduled, and maybe that I had scheduled, actually went ahead and posted. And so now I go into my bank account, and instead of being 7,000, it's 6,380. And so this is where I would update that so that all of my amounts are accurate. And then I would just say, okay, my mortgage posted. And so once I say that my mortgage is posted, the amount is not changed. So it's not counted. It doesn't deduct it from the previous balance. And so what it says here is that, yeah, this posted and my car loan did not post yet. So from the 6,380, if that car payment were to come in, then I would have 5,972 instead. However, for this mortgage, since it's already been deducted, the amount stays the same. And so that way I know that my running total is actually what, I'm expected to hit my bank account. And this number here is what the current balance is right now as I'm working through the spreadsheet. And so if I wanted to be able to hide a little bit of all the transactions, I can again refresh my filter, because it won't, like if you're updating the spreadsheet, it won't update the filtering until you actually kind of refresh it. So let's say, okay, I want to remove all the posted. That mortgage goes away. I don't need to, think about that. It's already out of here, and we, continue working with what we have here. And so if you're doing it every 15 months, then every 15 days, you would put in your paycheck in the column. You would put in how much you get paid, and maybe this is not a fixed paycheck, let's say. It's one of the variable ones where your wife or your husband is a contractor, and so he gets paid different amount every time. Just average it out. Go on, if it's an income, go on the lower level just to make sure that you don't overdraft. If it's fixed, then just put the fixed amount, which is fine. And so in this case, your paycheck is 600, and if it's about to hit, or that that's the amount and it's just on its way of you getting the check or posting to your account, you can even schedule it. And then once it hits your account, you can remove it from here. It gets removed from the running balance, and you can just refresh your filter and things start disappearing or going away. So this is what you would do it depends on how on top of this you want to be, right? If you want to be doing this on a weekly level, you can do it on a weekly level every 2 days. believe it or not, I go here every day and I do put in my transactions on a daily basis. So basically, I have what I plan out, and I update the running the actual balance on my account. So I go into the bank, I see the balance, I update my balance, and then if I know that there's a payment that needs to be placed, I put in my payment for this on the specific date. And if there's something that has already hit my bank account, I just mark it as being hit and I continue working. And so this, this is very helpful to keeping you um, on track on paying your bills, on making sure you don't deviate on different expenses that you weren't expected to have, or just making sure that you're planning out your month. And so that helps a lot with your budget. At least I find that that's the case. So your monthly dashboard, you're going to see what your numbers are. And so this is going to default to the current month of July, and this is what we have today. If you're starting out your month, you don't have that many transactions, then you're not going to see a lot here. You'll see, what you've budgeted. So here it's showing you that for the month of July, you're expecting to, make this amount of money. Yet, you've only logged in a couple of transactions. So this is where you are. You're at the beginning of the month. Same thing with expenses. You want to make sure that that your expenses are tracked and are marked in the list of expenses as trackable in order for them to show here. And so expenses and debts are going to be on this side. And this is based on, again, that list, whether you've marked this checkbox or not. So, for example, here we're tracking that HELOC. We decided to track that HELOC. However, right now you don't have a balance on it. And so you can just remove it altogether from the tracking, remove it from your debt. If we go back, then we wouldn't see the HELOC anywhere. You don't have a lot of clutter here on this page in order to track. It's just the capability of you being able to track, what's important to you. So right now your graph looks pretty, bland because there's not much. It's beginning of the month. What we could do is we can go back to June and see what that looks like. And here we have a little bit more of color because we have more transactions going into our money log. And so your graph here is going to show you exactly where you're been spending the money this month. In this month, it seems like there's a 15% of expense on a very expensive gift somebody got. Then you would have, home expenses, escrow, utilities, homeowner association, whatever you want to track. And so those would be here. And so you would see what you budgeted for and what your actuals are. And so this column would tell you if it's green, it's good, you're under your budget, or you're just at your budget, you spent what you said you were going to spend. And then this is actually your income. Yeah, this is actually the income. So in the income category, you would have how much you're expecting to get in total, and individually from your income tracker. And so from your income tracker, this is what you said you would expect for this month. So this is your budget, and this is your actuals. And then here you would say whether you actually, got paid what you thought you were, or even a little bit more, that would show up in green. If you thought you were going to be making $600 in your side hustle, but you only made 60, then you would see that that turns red. In this next table, we have your expenses, and this is what this particular graph is about. It's showing, how your expenses are allocated and what percentage this month per each expense. And so that way you know where you're mostly spending your money. And if you see, the list is short because we're not tracking everything. So if you wanted to track everything, your list would have everything in consideration, and you will have a lot more information here, looking at what those other categories are that interest you. The only problem with having too many categories here is that your graph tends to be like very cluttered with with many smaller items, and so I like to track some of the bigger expenses. And then if you marked your expense as being a debt, then you can track that in this table, and it would work the same way. So if you have a loan that you're paying towards too, and you're paying the exact amount or more, this would be considered green, and you would see what you actually expect to pay and what in your actuals here. So the green ones is your actuals. Your the blush color is your budget. So this is for your monthly breakdown. You can change your month so that you can go back in time and see, in April, this is how much I spent. In maybe February, this is how much I spent, and you can have that comparison and see, where did my, here it looks like I went over budget, and my income was just a little bit smaller than what I expected. So you can do that. Any month that's in the future, you could still go to, but obviously, since you don't have any actuals, then there wouldn't be any data that's available in order to have any information there. So this always is going to default to the current month that you have while you're viewing, while you're working on the spreadsheet. So the other dashboard that we have is your yearly dashboard. So this one has everything all together so that you have a one view of how your year went. You have your totals, you have your income totals, so your primary paycheck. At the end of the year, you've made this much. Your rental income made this much. Your business has made this much. So that's available here. The next sheet is around your expenses, and those in this case, we're tracking all of the expenses that you listed on your list. And so if you haven't had any transactions for an expense, then it's going to just come in as 0, and this is for that month. And then perhaps at the end of the month, you would see whether you've made money on that, you spent money, on that or not. So this is very useful for looking at overall the year and how much you've been spending for that year. The graphs also showing you your income versus your expenses, and where your expenses are a bit higher than what you think. Ideally, your income should always be higher than what you're spending. And by the end of the year in December, you should have all that data available for you to compare. What else? I think here under the transaction log, I didn't mention that your year would be here. So once you've had set up all your monthly bills and your income tracker, which is things that don't change on a daily basis, this is usually remaining itself pretty well. I would advise to make a copy of that and just name it, your budget template. So this opens up in a new tab. This is your budget template, and it's pretty much configured with your categories that you're interested in and so forth. You would not have any data. I had data here for the demo, but you wouldn't have any data as far as transactions on your money log. You can start with 0 transactions, which is how you're going to receive your spreadsheet. Set up all your categories, your income, and then save that so that the next time that January comes around and you come in here and you make a copy of this one and you just name it 2023. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. Let us know how we can help and support you. Also, let us know how you're using the spreadsheet, if it's been helpful or not. And I think this is it. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.